Chinese and Russian nuclear-capable bombers conducted a joint patrol over the Sea of Japan on Friday. China's H-6N nuclear-capable bomber, its first appearance in such an exercise.
The U.S. does not currently have the ability to even track this weapon, much less defeat it. It will give the Chinese the ability to conduct a nuclear strike.
It's midnight over the Pacific. A lone Chinese H-6N bomber glides thousands of feet above the ocean, its silhouette barely detectable by radar. Inside the bay of this aircraft is something the world has never seen before on a parade ground, something that could change the balance of power overnight. With a single command, a massive missile drops free, its rocket engines ignite, and it streaks into the stratosphere. Moments later, America's homeland, New York, Washington, Los Angeles, is suddenly under threat of annihilation. That missile is the JL-1, China's brand new air-launched nuclear weapon revealed for the first time during the 2025 Victory Day parade in Beijing. And it's not just another missile, it's a message. China now has the ability to launch nuclear strikes from the sky. Anywhere, anytime. Today we're diving into why the JL-1 missile could be one of the most dangerous tools in China's arsenal, and why the Pentagon is suddenly losing sleep over it. At its core, it's an air-launched ballistic missile, a missile carried by China's H-6N strategic bomber. Unlike land-based missiles that must be fired from silos or submarines, this one can be launched mid-air, thousands of kilometers away from Chinese territory. And here's where it gets shocking. The JL-1 has an estimated range of 8,000 kilometers. That's far enough to hit almost any major U.S. city if launched from over the Pacific. In practical terms, Beijing could launch an H-6N from deep inside Chinese airspace, climb to altitude, release the JL-1, and watch as the missile covers the distance from Asia to the American East Coast. And it doesn't stop there. The JL-1 is said to be dual capable, meaning it can carry both nuclear warheads and conventional warheads. Some analysts even suggest it has an anti-ship role, which means it could potentially target U.S. aircraft carriers at sea. Think about that. One missile that could either level a city with a nuclear strike or sink the very ships that guarantee U.S. power in the Pacific. Why does this matter so much? For decades, America's advantage wasn't just about having nuclear weapons. It was about how fast, flexible, and survivable those weapons were. The U.S. had air-launched nuclear missiles like the AGM-86ALCM, carried by B-52 bombers, capable of striking targets thousands of miles away. These gave Washington the ability to project nuclear firepower across the globe. China, meanwhile, was limited. Most of its nuclear force relied on ground-based missiles, or, more recently, submarine-launched missiles. But the air-launched nuclear leg of the triad was missing. Without it, Beijing's deterrent wasn't complete. The JL-1 changes that. With this missile, China now enters the same strategic territory as the US and Russia, true nuclear triad capability. And here's the frightening part. It's not just about striking distance. An air-launched missile means mobility and unpredictability. Land-based missiles can be watched by satellites. Submarines can be tracked by sonar. But an aircraft, it can take off from anywhere, change direction mid-flight, and launch a strike without warning. For U.S. defenses, that's a nightmare scenario. Imagine trying to track every Chinese bomber across Asia, every flight, every exercise, never knowing if one of them is carrying a live JL-1 ready to fire. The stakes couldn't be higher, because for the first time, America isn't facing just China's land and sea deterrent. It's facing all three: land, sea, and now air. Tensions flare over Taiwan. U.S. carriers move into the Philippine Sea, F-35s take off, and Chinese anti-ship missiles start flying. But above the chaos, a Chinese H-6N bomber takes off from the mainland. It flies south, far enough to stay under China's air defense umbrella, and then turns east into open ocean. Inside its bay is a JL-1. The order comes in. The missile drops, its engines ignite, and it climbs to altitude before streaking across the Pacific. In just over 30 minutes, it's racing toward the U.S. West Coast. Radars in Alaska and California pick it up. Alarms blare in command centers, and American generals scramble interceptors. But here's the problem. The JL-1 may be carrying a MIRV payload, multiple warheads. Even if the U.S. missile defense system intercepts one, others slip through. Within moments, cities like San Francisco or Los Angeles could be turned into smoking craters. Now imagine a different scenario. Instead of heading for cities, the JL-1 is aimed at the ocean, at a U.S. carrier strike group. One warhead, even conventional, detonates near the carrier, and the shockwave alone could cripple flight operations. With a nuclear warhead, a single hit could eliminate an entire U.S. naval task force in one strike. For the U.S., this isn't just about nuclear destruction. It's about losing control of the seas. Carriers, the backbone of American dominance, suddenly become sitting ducks against a missile launched from the sky. But here's the part no one saw coming. The JL-1 may not just be a straightforward ballistic missile. Some reports suggest it could be a hybrid design, part ballistic, part cruise missile. In other words, instead of flying in a predictable arc like a traditional nuke, it might maneuver mid-flight, change trajectory, and confuse U.S. radar systems. This makes it incredibly difficult to intercept. America's missile defense systems, like the ground-based mid-course defense in Alaska, are designed for predictable ballistic arcs. If the JL-1 can weave or glide, those defenses may simply fail. And there's another twist. The H-6N bomber that carries the JL-1 is rumored to be capable of aerial refueling. That means it could launch from deep inland China, refuel mid-air, and extend its reach even further, potentially launching JL-1 strikes from places the U.S. doesn't expect. Think about the implications. A mobile, refuelable bomber carrying an 8,000-kilometer missile that may split into multiple warheads. For the Pentagon, that's a triple nightmare: range, flexibility, and unpredictability. The JL-1 isn't just filling a gap in China's arsenal, it's rewriting the rules of nuclear deterrence. So here's where we stand in 2025. China has shown the world the JL-1, a missile that can be launched from the sky, strike anywhere in America, overwhelm defenses, and even sink U.S. carriers. For decades, the U.S. relied on oceans as buffers and carriers as symbols of dominance. With the JL-1, both are suddenly at risk. The terrifying truth is this: America is no longer safe by distance. The Pacific isn't a shield. The JL-1 puts every city, every base, and every fleet under China's chaotic radar. But if you think the JL-1 is dangerous, wait until you see what China is hiding under its flagship J-20 fighter. With all the new upgrades, that fighter